Okay, hi everybody. I am back here with Rayven for a beautiful, delicious bonus chat. In the previous conversation, we mentioned, or Raven mentioned, BlissDance. And BlissDance is something that I've only just recently started learning myself as well through Shakti Shiva Academy. And in our previous conversation, we didn't go too much into detail about what BlissDance actually is. And I realized afterwards that, my goodness me, this is such a beautiful opportunity to talk in more depth about this concept of BlissDance and what an amazing tool, what an amazing modality it is for really for men to connect more deeply with themselves and for us as a collective to lift consciousness on our planet as well. So I wanted to bring Raven back and give us a more in detail lowdown about his experience with Bliss Dance and to tell you a little bit more about what this modality actually is all about. So Raven, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you for having me back again. It's lovely to chat to you and this opportunity to share a little bit more about BlissDance. Um,
Yeah.
I think just to frame it very quickly, it falls into the broader scope of what we would call a conscious dance. In other words, it's not a dance that you're going out necessarily just to have fun or party or pick up people or whatever those sort of common archetypes are, perhaps around dancing. It's not a performance for other people. This is really a journey that you go through for yourself and your own learning, your own awareness, your own exploration of who you are, or what's stopping you from being who you are, what feels truthful or authentic, things like that. And I need to just honor as well two things. One is biodanza, which it has its origins in. So anyone who's done biodanza would find a lot of bliss dance quite familiar. It has deviated to some degree, and partly that was initiated by my teacher, Dr. Shakti Malan, while she was still alive. And she had trained as in biodanza and then felt that there was another direction that she wanted to take it into. And somewhere along the line, I got plunged into it. But before I did that, it was a significant part of my journey. And I think, both as a man exploring what it means to be a man, um, and in terms of exploring the human element of what it means to embody feminine and masculine as energies and to dance those two different energies, both as myself and with others. And that's really a kind of one of the differentiators, I guess, between bliss dance, and some of the other conscious dance modalities, where you're not strictly dancing on your own. Some of them are very much spaces where you can go into an internal space. You can close your eyes if you want to and just have your own dance. Whereas an aspect of bliss dance is you're being guided at times into yourself, but at other times you're being guided to connect with other people. And it's really through that connection that I think a lot of the depth lies, the confrontation sometimes of that meeting with other, and sometimes even as simple as the choice to meet with another. So there might be an invitation in a dance because bliss dance is a facilitated experience. So one of the invitations might be find someone to dance with. And that alone can be quite a confronting experience. Oh my gosh, I've got to choose someone. Who do I choose? And suddenly you're confronted with all of your biases and your expectations and what it is that you project onto other people of this idea of who we should be dancing with or who's the right person to dance with. Now, I mentioned earlier this experience that I went through as a man in a man's body and my journey of what it means to be a man and this differentiation between the energies of masculine and feminine. And there's a lot of stuff that gets confronted there. So in a sort of a more heteronormative type of thinking, for instance, that idea of go and find someone to dance with is going to be clouded by this, oh, it has to be someone of the opposite sex. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Just find someone else, anyone. And and certainly when you come with this history of that heteronormative mindset and cultural paradigm, that certainly for me was one of the very big first adjustments that I had to make, and I've seen it with many men coming into that space. It's a big one, and because again the culture that we've sort of grown up in tends to see in these spaces women holding a little bit of protection around themselves towards men, male-bodied people, because it can be dangerous sometimes. Women haven't been treated very well. So when you say something like find someone else to dance with, what happens is all the women pair up very, very quickly. And then you get a couple of very startled men going, oh my gosh, there's only men left to choose what to do with that. and and time again, what I've experienced for myself, and I've seen it and I've heard it expressed from other men, is that they go through this absolutely profound experience of having to meet that difficulty and dance with another man and to get through that conditioning, or it's actually just a dance. And every dance is completely different, whether it's with a male body person, a female body person, a older person, a younger person, a person from this culture, a person who's experienced, not experienced, whatever. Every single experience is completely new, completely different. And because bliss dance is really inviting presence in the moment to just meet what is, including everything that confronts us, it's going to rise up, and you get to dance through it, and you get to be very aware of what your discomfort is and what shifts through it when you're willing to be in it. That's profound. And everyone dances in different ways. So if you're used to again, the archetypal heteronormative perspective of, say, the man leading the dance and being the more powerful, dominant one, and suddenly you've got two men dancing, well, who's going to be dominant and powerful in that? Someone has to surrender. Otherwise, it's going to be a fight, right? Of some form or another. You can dance fight as well, of course. It's also possible. But there's this beautiful experience that happens when a man surrenders into a dance and to go, I don't have to hold that position anymore. If in this moment it feels good for me just to surrender in this dance, it can be a huge release, massive release, transcendent stuff. Just, oh wow, I can dance in this way. I can experience another man in this way because it's not sexual necessarily. It's a dance. It's a dance. It's a moment. It's a song playing and it's an invitation with some theme or concept that's being introduced. It's just a dance. And it's these little adjustments of perspective. And I recall, before I was actually a facilitator and I was going to these dances, they weren't easy. They were very confronting. I didn't happily go, oh, it's weekend, I'm going to go and dance, or whatever night it was. I can't remember now, but you know that sense of, yeah, we're going out partying, we're going out partying. No, it wasn't that at all. It was like, oh my gosh, oh no, okay. And I would literally drag myself there, and I did because I knew it was good, but it wasn't comfortable, it wasn't easy necessarily, and that's one of the invitations of bliss dances. Come with your discomfort. Come with your judgments. We do anyway. They're always there. But this is a chance to be real with them and to be provoked. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
beautiful.
said quite a lot. I don't know if you've got any questions at this stage. I see a lot of nodding and big smiles.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love everything you shared there, Raven. And I love the perspective that you took there in terms of the dancing with someone, coming together with someone to do this dance. And especially if it's two men coming together, how confrontational that can be. Absolutely. And what I'm noticing on my own journey already is really those moments of discomfort that can arise really suddenly, completely unexpectedly. Might have something to do with the music or the lyrics or nothing to do with that at all, just something that's going on internally within you, and how easily that urge comes to just, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm leaving. This is it. And then when you allow yourself to just dance through that, no matter what that looks like, it's the release that comes through that and that sense of
Yeah.
expansion that comes through that is incredible. And I would imagine that especially for men who really have in large part of the world been taught to not express their emotions very openly, to push back down emotions like sadness or grief, not to cry, not to be too vocal with emotions that are deemed to be more feminine. I would imagine this is absolutely revolutionary.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly a big part of my journey has been to drop into the feminine. And part of that was to actually drop away the ideas I had of the feminine as well, because there's the ideas we have, and then there's something else that we can explore, and there's what they would suppose call positive and negative aspects of these energies as well. And these are all aspects that you get to dance potentially, depending on what the theme is. And every single bliss dance is going to be different because it will be guided by a theme. But these will all be brought into it. It's like, okay, well, we're not just dancing everything that's nice and pretty and joyful and celebratory and all the light side necessarily. We're coming from a perspective of what we would refer to as totality tantra, which is everything is welcome, everything is here. We don't exclude something. If we're trying to deny something, really all we're doing is pushing it into the shadow subconscious, and it's going to come up in some way. So this is a chance to go, okay, well, this is something that I would hold as, say, a negative emotion, say anger, which is certainly not a negative emotion. It's just an emotion. But to go, okay, well, let's dance anger. Let's see what anger looks like when you bring it into the body, away from the mind, because this dance is very much an embodiment practice. So we leave the mind. The mind's there. The mind's always there. Of course, the mind's observing, and it's very welcome to observe, and it's going to analyze and all these sorts of things. But that opportunity to just take a nice deep breath, drop into the body, and go, how does this particular emotion want to express if I give it space and give it freedom to move? Where there's no way that this dance needs to look. Because as I said earlier, this is not a performance. We're not doing this for anyone else. We're doing this from a place of curiosity and discovery. How does this want to move now in this moment? It could be different later on. And of course, we're in this beautiful setting. If it's a space where there's people together, where we getting feedback or inspiration from other dancers as well. So one of the invitations might be to dance in a group of four. Again, not a normal thing necessarily. We're used to dancing in pairs. Dance in threes, dance in fours, dance as the whole group. The whole group's more familiar perhaps. But to dance in four and to go, okay, there is no instruction here as to what a dance of four people looks like, what moves they need to make, or anything like that. It's always just an invitation, and to see what's going to arise. And what might arise if I'm dancing on my own could be very different to when I'm dancing with a group of people. And I might find that suddenly I'm moving in ways that I could not have imagined. Now, when you're mixing that up with genders and ages and whatever kind of difference that you want to bring into that experience or whatever, you're going to get very different qualities of movement coming through and expressions. And people arrive at a dance, they might have had a really tough day. Someone might be super silly. Someone might be in grief. We welcome all of that in, and see if that can get expressed through the dance. So you might not even know in dancing with another person what's being mirrored back to you necessarily, not through a verbal sense. But in this dance, we get to tune into each other and to see from that resonant place, what does my body want to do? In fact, to use the word resonant, the recent bliss dance that I did when I was in Cape Town was magnetic presence. That's what I titled it, and it was very much talking about resonant energies, what resonates, what's magnetizing here, what's repelling me here, and not to judge anything as good as bad, but just to start to notice, so that that can inform the way in which we move. So again, we're not moving from a sense of the mind or how we should or what's expected or even what's being told, but what wants to happen, what's the truth, what's the authenticity that wants to come through here. And when you start to touch on that, absolutely, there's a space where emotions will very naturally have permission to flow through. And I must admit, I have the name Rayven, and there's some magic behind that. Rayven is a trickster energy, and so I do work a lot with trickster energy in the dance, and we have music to support us. And a big part of the training, which you're on and you'll get to experience, is how we work with the music. And so we will take notice of, okay, this track actually has a very particular motive quality to it that we want to bring into the dance. And that's to find an encouragement where we can tap into those deeper places. Because when we release the emotions, give it expression, give it movement, give it space, again, there's a release. You used that word earlier. There's a release that takes place.
Beautiful.
Ah,
That is very, very powerful, Raven. And having shared everything that you have shared now, what would you say is the potential of BlissDance really to lift the vibration on our planet, to shift consciousness towards love, essentially?
yeah. Thank you. It's such a beautiful direction that I think so many of us are longing to go in. And one of the things that Bliss Dance does, because of this quality of attunement into resonant energies, is we get to start to develop a felt sense of where another person is, what their state of being is. Not strictly through a verbal thing of like, oh, how are you doing? Which you ask most people how they're doing, the answer is pretty standard. It's the word fine or okay or hey, I'm great. Actually, I'm really stressed and I'm just not going to let on. But when we're dancing together and we're starting to, through the dance and through some of the exercises and the guidance, we start to feel into where is another person? How are they doing? Are they wanting to come in closer? Or is there a sense of there's a boundary here that I need to take notice of? And we start to do that with all of our senses, not just relying on the verbal, but this felt sense of what's the energy of this expression now? Is this something that's wanting to happen? Or is it wanting something that's wanting a little bit more space, or it's not working? That's another one. This isn't working. This is feeling uncomfortable. I'm going into my head. Okay, well maybe that's a good reason just to step back a moment and take a broader perspective. Broader perspective is the feminine energy. And to go, maybe there's something else going on here that I don't yet know. And to know it, I need to learn how to drop into my body and breathe and relax my nervous system. And we work a lot with the nervous system in Bliss Dance. Relax the nervous system so that I can become more attuned with myself. And in attuning with myself as a resonant body, I can start to become attuned to others. That on its own, I think, is profound because we're walking through a world at the moment where people are super stressed. There's so much grabbing for our attention all the time. We're not even aware of how we're doing. So to take that moment to drop back and go, actually, I'm in a dance with another person. I'm talking dance of the metaphoric dance of life. I'm in a dance with others, whether it's my children, my parents, my colleagues, the cashier at the grocery store. We're in the dance. And am I in a relaxed state of being? Am I aware of my needs and my boundaries and and where I am so that I can be able to tune in empathetically with where other people are. And I think if we can drop into that space, that allows us to connect with the heart because the emotions have a space. And time again, I find when I drop into an emotional space with anyone, it gives them typically permission to drop into an emotional space. And all of a sudden, the level of conversation drops into something that's a lot more intimate. Again, I'm not talking sexuality here. I'm talking the intimacy of human beings. And that's missing. That's missing. And in fact, the internet's a big part of that, unfortunately. Which is again another reason why, although we're teaching the training online, the opportunity to actually get in person with other people, that physical space, and move with them, I think is very profound. And we can certainly all learn a lot more from doing it. And just one other thing has just dropped into my head, and to have fun, to play, to be silly, to make mistakes, to acknowledge our differences, and that it's not okay. And these are just moments that are passing. And how beautiful. And we can have this dance in this moment that feels super challenging, and the next moment, a dance that feels super sexy, and another dance that just feels beautiful and loving and supportive. And it's all there, it's all available to us. And that's part of the range of experience that we can have in bliss dance.
Beautiful. So, so very exciting. And the potential with all of this is just so yummy, so delicious. I can't wait to move forward on this training as well and see what comes through for me, what drops in, and what becomes possible through that. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, at the time that we're speaking, the training, BlissDance training through Shakti Shiva Academy has only just started. And for those of you who might be intrigued by this modality, who might want to be joining us, you still have time. You still have a few more days to join us. And what I will do is I'll include the link to the training information below as well. And of course, if you do decide to join us, then through me, you also get a chance to get a 5% discount for that training, which I think is a beautiful opportunity to really come and join us and jump on the Bliss bus, as Kali, who's the other facilitator with Rayven for this course, always says. Rayven, is there anything else that you'd like to say to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that although this first year of training, it's potentially part of 3 years for those who want to become facilitators themselves. But the first year is very much a personal journey. And yes, we go into the detail of how we do bliss dance and the background and the different aspects of it and how we work with music, and it's very informative on that level. But there's another layer in that. We're not just speaking about it, we're doing it. We're exploring it. All of the online classes will have a dance component to it so that you're actually experiencing bliss dance in that sort of facilitated manner, and through it get to see what are the different aspects that we could explore in this. And it gives you a, yeah, like a palette to potentially work through in terms of what is our human experience, and the parts of us that we want to explore and express and integrate. So it's very powerful. There are some participants who did this 1 year training 2 years ago when we ran it then, who are repeating because they had extremely profound experiences and are terribly excited to do it again. We're really glad to have them back again. So yeah, it's a good year. It's a good year.
Yeah. Yeah, it really, really feels like that. And yeah, Shakti Shiva Academy has been a part of my life for quite a few years now. And the quality of training, the depths that we go to with all the materials is really just profound. So I invite everybody to check out Shakti Shiva Academy, whether you want to join the Bliss bus or not, and check out the work, because it really is profound and it really allows you to grow as an individual and be part of this evolutionary growth of our planet in a big, big way as well. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Rayven, for your time and for sharing more about your experiences with Bliss Dance and about the enormous potential that this dance modality brings with it. I really appreciate your time and chatting with you again. Thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. I hope this was inspiring for you, and I look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye for now.